Welcome everyone. Today is October 14th, 2020, and we're here in Cincinnati, Ohio, where the leaves are changing into magical colors. And I wanted to share a reading with you today from Spree, a John Stedman thriller, which is now on promotion in the UK for only 99 pence. And it's available also on Amazon.com for $5.99 in the ebook and $14.99 for the paperback. It makes a wonderful gift, and I hope you'll enjoy this reading. So let's get started. John walked as casually as possible, hoping Carrera was out there. The bridge's purple color reminded John of Ashley, calming him. "She's watching over me." He had followed the FBI's instructions to the letter and was now making himself a lone target. In his pocket was a fake lab pouch and blank flash drive. Despite what he'd told Matthews and the others, John had not destroyed the authentic ones. They were in a safe location that only he and Gabe knew about. John felt beads of sweat dripping beneath his shirt, causing the wire to slightly slip on his bare chest as he reached the purple bridge. Several people were strolling along the span, admiring the skyline and flowers. A young mother pushing a baby carriage, an older woman resting on a bench, and a middle-aged man taking pictures of flowers in their planters. As he passed the photographer, John was quickly jerked back and felt a sharp jab in his side. "Stay calm," the man whispered in his ear. His breath reeked of cigarettes. "You scream or bring any attention to yourself in any way, and I won't think twice about shooting you." John was stunned by how quickly he'd been assaulted. "What do you want?" he asked with genuine fear. "My wallet's in my back pocket." "I don't want your money. I want what's in your other pocket." "I don't know what you're talking about." He felt the gun jab deeper in his kidney, causing him to stumble sideways, his bad leg seizing up. The man held on tighter. "I have a silencer on this piece. I can shoot you and take what I came for and walk away before anyone gets a whiff of what happened." "Okay, let me get it out." "Do it slowly. If I sense you're playing around with me, I'll kill you." John shuddered. The fear was near paralyzing as he reached into his pocket and took out the pouch, awkwardly handing them to the man behind him. "What do you want these for anyway? I'm just using them for a research project." "That's none of your concern. Now the flash drive. I know you have it, so Save the Innocent Act." John took out the flash drive. The man grabbed it from him, placing it in the pouch with the tubes. "Okay, now we walk." "You said you'd leave me alone if you got what you want." "I never said that, so shut up and move." "I'm just a student." Before John could finish his sentence, the young mother pulled down an assault rifle from her baby carriage and yelled, "Drop it!" In a split second, John dropped to his knees, as he had been instructed to do if those words were spoken, as a message both to the perpetrator and himself, should he be held at gunpoint. The man tried to keep a hold on him, lost his grip, and quickly racked back the slide of his pistol. With her Colt M4 carbine held steadily in hand, the mother barked, "One more move and it's between the eyes. Drop it, Carrera." Hearing his name, Carrera sized up the situation. A SWAT team surrounded him, guns drawn and pointing in his direction. He lowered his gun. "Drop it," she repeated. He did so. "Kick it over here." He did so. John scurried to the opposite side of the bridge as several agents ran in his direction. Positioned all over the area, they had been ready for Carrera's move. The elderly person on the bench was now holding a semi-automatic. Without John's knowledge, everyone around him had been undercover. The feds had picked Carrera out within minutes of John's meeting with Gabe and had been listening to the whole exchange. Any civilians in the area were shielded from the action by well-positioned agents. Feeling dizzy and weak in the knees, John held onto the railing to stay vertical. The sight of the gun brought back the night at BTI. It was as if a body was standing right there. Donna came up beside him. "You okay, John?" "I need a minute." "You did great, just as we practiced. We got him." They watched as the mother, agent, held Carrera at bay, gun pointed at his chest. Two local police officers carefully approached him, cuffs at the ready. Without warning, Carrera bent over, swiftly pulled an army-issue knife from an ankle holster and held it out menacingly. The policemen halted, pulling out their guns. Donna yelled out to Carrera, "Don't be stupid. You can walk away from here. Put the knife down." Cornered, he darted his eyes between the two approaching cops, waving his knife back and forth. Carrera sneered, as if to himself, muttered, I'm never walking away from here. They'll get me wherever I am. Who will? Donna asked in an even-toned voice. Haven't you figured it out? The syndicate. You fools don't have a clue what's coming. It's not even on your radar. In his other hand, he held up the flash drive and pouch. This is only the tip of the iceberg. Test runs proving the system works. They're building an army right under your noses. He was surrounded, the Ohio River churning behind him. A dazed look of resignation flooded his features as he turned to look at the view, as if he was a tourist admiring the scenery. What syndicate? Donna asked more urgently than before. She was losing him. Carrera looked out at the riverbank, registered surprise. He turned back to face his adversaries, laughing perversely. Now delirious, he shouted, "New beginnings!" Those words sealed his fate.